Hey everybody, Jeff from Corrugated Cavalier here. I'm starting the video on here today because it is super windy outside. I will get some footage out on Paul the Pel though to demonstrate what I'm talking about. So what am I talking about today? I am comparing the first couple of plays of Zogho Largo from Fiore's Sword in Two Hands to what I know of Zornhau and kind of the process that comes after that. So I've been studying Fiore primarily on my own for about a year now. But also with Guy Windsor's Sword School Online and just videos from people who seem like they know what they're talking about. To me, Guy Windsor, The Exiles, and Federico Malaguti all have really great stuff if you haven't checked them out. And I've been taking KDF classes, that's German longsword fencing, I guess not just longsword, for about 6 months now, and my club is focused primarily on Lichtenauer. So my thought here is that the Zornhau and kind of what comes after it is very, very similar to Fiore's first two plays of Zogho Largo. So the first two plays of Zogho Largo, Fiore says basically your swords come to a crossing, and it shows kind of far out in the manuscript, but some people interpret it as a little bit further down the blade as well. And you come around to the other side, and you cut the head or the arms, basically. And the second play says that you can just stab them in the face. So what most people interpret it as, and what makes sense to me, is basically once your swords come to the crossing, if you have the center line, you might as well just step in and stab them in the face. That's going to make them have to do something to not get stabbed in the face. And if you don't have the center line, what Fiore is saying is you basically change your sword around to the other side and cut them to the head of the arms. There's a couple different ways to do that, but that's the basic idea. And similarly for Zornhau, basically, and both these can kind of come from a half, for Fiore it can kind of come from a half cut or a parry to frontale. Zornhau, so both of these, our left foot is going to be forward, at least that's the way that my club teaches it, and it's kind of a half cut once again. And same thing from what we've been taught, if you have the center line, just move in and stab their face. And this is where it gets a little bit different. If you don't have the center line, we're taught to, or at least one basic option is to wind up and get the strong of your blade against their weak, and then you should be able to move in, well, with a thrust. Whereas Fiore doesn't talk about that. But Lichtenauer does talk about abnehmen, which is basically taking off above your opponent's sword and coming around to the other side, which to me is very, very similar to the first and second plays of Zogho Largo. And I kind of think of, my own brain at least, likes to think of the first and second plays of Zogho Largo kind of together, not as two separate plays really. It's kind of like two different options, sort of. Do you have the center line? Yes, great, stab them in the face. No, come around to the other side. And Mark from The Exiles just posted a great video on this, so I will link that below. All right, let's go out to Paul the Pel, brave the wind, and see what I'm talking about. All right, so I'm going to start from Posta di Donna to make it look a little bit more similar to Zornhau, but you could also do a parry to frontale from Porta di Ferro, but here we go. So if I gain the center line, I just move in and thrust. No problem. If I have the center line against Paul, I just move in and thrust. If I'm knocked by fast enough and this attack comes in a little quicker, and Paul somehow gets the center line on me, then Fiore says to come around and cut to the arms. Some people also interpret that kind of like this, and hey, that sort of looks like a whine to me, kind of. You're getting the strong of your blade against theirs. And that's basically the first two plays. So first play is actually coming around when you don't have the center line. The second play is, okay, I got here, I have the center line, just move in and thrust. Basically the first play says, when the swords come to a crossing, move around to the other side and cut to the head or arms. Alternately, you may just move in and stab at the face, which is what the second play is. Okay, so for Zornhau, I'm going to just demonstrate that now. Similar thing, I'm going to kind of get a half cut. And if I have the center line like I do here, of course, I just move in, thrust. Now, if I don't, Paul gets the center line on me. This is where, at least in my club, we're taught to wind up and get the strong of our blade on there weak, and then move in and thrust. But Lichtenauer also has Abnehmen, which is taking off above, and to me that's almost exactly like the first play of Zogho Largo. So, once again, if Paul gets the center line on me, take off above, and there we go. Thanks, Paul. Paul's getting a little bit better. Alright, I hope that was interesting to some folks out there. You know, I'm not the first one who thought of this by any means. It's just something that I've been noticing after taking some KDF lessons. A lot of people might also not agree. That's, you know, totally fine. Please leave comments or ask questions below, you know, and get a discussion going. That's fine, as long as everybody's respectful. I know sometimes people get pretty defensive about this stuff, so hopefully I'm not alienating two groups of HEMA people at the same time with something like this. I'm also going to take a look at Krumpau in a next video and breaking the thrust, which don't look exactly the same, but I think in some context can have a similar application. Alright, thank you for coming by the channel as always. Please click like, subscribe, share this around to people who might find it interesting, and yeah, be good to each other. Ciao.